that has a keyboard, mouse, and monitor. All right, let me fast forward into some good stuff here.
You can write text messages. You can write text messages. You can see the text messages from the phone. So this is like these are native Android applications that I want to see SMS.
Wow. Full-fledged Ubuntu install. Looks like Ubuntu to me.
Applications in the cloud. So basically, these are Windows applications. That depends on the manufacturer. Sure.
Very cool. All right, seen enough.
This one is the Matrix 2, and we are having roots.
Very interesting.
Yeah, and the phone was a Atrix 2, I believe.
Okay.
And the dock is basically you just put it in, and then coming out of the dock, you have USB and HDMI.
Cool.
So that's how they were able to hook up the stuff. What I like about it is the seamless integration it offers. And here's what it is. For instance, you on your phone get an email from somebody. You start to reply to that and then say save draft. Later in the day, you connect that to your dock and you pull up full-blown Ubuntu, and then you open up Thunderbird, the installed email client, open it up, and then in your drafts folder, you will have that draft.
Really?
Yep. Then you can open up that draft, do more editing. If you then save that draft later again, pull it on your phone, you'll have the updated draft.
Wow. Killer.
Yeah. Same thing with calendar, context. You can easily, it looked like to me, very easily send text messages, receive text messages from the Ubuntu interface. If you have Bluetooth, you can easily dial and answer phone calls from the interface. Really integrated nicely. Oh, and I believe when you open up Firefox, I think was the browser, I'm not 100% sure, maybe it was Chromium, it was able to access the cache on the phone. So if you're on your phone, save a password to podnutz.com/forums and then pull up Ubuntu and you go to that in that browser, it will automatically have your passwords.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean,
And
like we talked about before, and you used the right word, integration, because it's not syncing. It's integration now. There's nothing to sync. The device is the device.
And it's in your pocket.
Yeah. Love it.
So I'll just say again, I do believe this is like what the computers of tomorrow will be. I just hope we get more choices, more option. Because I say the one word in Android that really drives me absolutely insane is when people say fragmentation. Steve, do you know where the term fragmentation was coined for Android?
No.
I'll give you a hint. The guy that said it is no longer with us.
I had a feeling.
Yes, I will say I agree with a lot of the devs that say, if you look at it from a business perspective, it's fragmentation. If you look at it from a customer's perspective, it's choice. I agree with them. Now, you can have too much choice. You can have choices that are bad choices, like the knockoff tablets from China that are $50, So it isn't all good, but if you have common sense and you review, look at things in depth before you make decisions, you can get a good choice and get a good thing.
Yeah. Good point.
This could be really cool, but something tells me it's not going to be available for the Droid X.
I think down the line, it's safe to say you're going to have this thing because it's just I think it's going to blow up.
Well, and here's the thing. Whether or not it's Ubuntu, this concept, this idea is going to become the norm. I honestly believe it. It might take 2, 3, 4 years, whatever. It will become expected in a device, I believe.
I agree.
Will it be Ubuntu? I don't know.
You know how much hardware we're going to be able to get rid of? Big, clunky boxes. And
right.
And like the hardcore geeks are going to be like, I like customizing my computers and I like putting new cards and RAM and stuff like that in. And I think after enough of not doing that, you're not going to want to do it anymore. Just get used to having the little device. That's your computer. Take it wherever you go. That's your computer.
Well, and I agree. And here's the question, Steve. How long have we been saying, and other people have been saying, computers today are too powerful?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think they're right. For at least 2 years, 2.5 years, the average desktop computer is too powerful for the average user.
I agree. Yep.
So this will bring it more to let's say, a equal level-ish playing field.
Right.
Yeah. I'm once again giddy. Okay. Now this next story, I will say, comes with caveats. Okay.
Yes.
The title of the story is Linux is the world's fastest growing desktop OS. It's up 64% in 9 months. Linux easily beats Windows 7, who only had like a 30% increase, I want to say. Easily beats out OS X, which only had like an 8% increase. Yeah, it looks like Windows 7 was 37%. Now, with that said,
Yeah.
okay, here's the quote from a podcast called Sunday Morning Linux Review, which if you want to check out, it's at smlr.us. I really kind of enjoy this podcast because it's 3 people. I believe they record the cast right before or right after their weekly lug. And they basically just talk about hard facts about Linux. Like, here are some new distros, here is some kernel update, here is some news. And then they inject, after that, a lot of personality and opinions. And they say these are opinions. You know, these aren't facts.
Okay.
But one of the things they said that was a fact caught my attention. Okay. They basically said over the same time period, Windows 7 has only grown about 37%. The number of Linux installations is obviously currently very small, but if our growth continues on this pace, we will overtake Windows as the major operating system in about 59 years. Woohoo! We are the force to be reckoned with.
59 years.
Yeah. And they were the only place I heard that put it in perspective. Everybody else just kept, pounding their chests. 64%, 9 months. Yes, but in actuality, a person's entire life can pass, and we still wouldn't be the majority if we keep it up at that same rate.
Right.
So take it with a grain of salt, people.
Good stat.
Yeah.
I mean, that's uncalculable because the technology is gonna change so much. Who the heck knows if an operating system will even exist or what it will be called, or there's just too many variables. But
Yes.
It does put it in perspective. You're right.
Yeah, and since Windows isn't consistent with their naming conventions, I guess Windows 8, Windows 12, and Windows 85 might all be complete flops. And it could only take, at the current growth rate, 5 years.
Right.
Because everybody's switching to iPads. Never mind, I take that back. Okay. I just found it really interesting. I wanted to mention it. I want to thank the guys at Sunday Morning Linux Review for being honest about the stat. Because everybody else just kept screaming and shouting how great it was.
That's the guys who brought it up?
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, I heard many people bring it up, but they're the only person that said it will take 59 years.
I guess. Cool. I like their website.
Oh, yeah.
I like
Very
that
clean.
to subscribe to the RSS feed, you have to hit the sugar packet.
Mm-hmm.
Neat.
Makes sense. And there are, I think, the only Linux podcast that has a steady, every episode, a female on. I want to hear more female perspectives on computing and Linux. So, yeah, that's good.
Me too. If they're on for the sake of opinions and computing, what did you say?
Oh,
how did you word that?
I don't even know.
Yeah, I mean, but that was good. If they're on for that, that's great. If they're not on for that, then they should go work for GoDaddy.
It's painfully obvious She knows Linux. She knows how to use Linux. She uses it all the time, and she has issues, and she comes up with solutions just like the rest of us,
Good. That's the way
So
it should-
she isn't like trying to think.
other
I don't
people.
know.
Other people.
Yeah. I don't know. The only one I can think of are all credible, like Aaron MacArthur or the girl on X Play. I'd be afraid to play her in games. I think she'd kick my butt.
I haven't watched that in a while. I think last time I watched, a girl named Morgan was on it.
Morgan Webb. That's it.
Is that who you're talking about?
Morgan Webb. Yep.
Okay.
Because she had the short-lived podcast, The Web Alert, which I actually thought was good. But again, I digress. The next bit of news, some people were almost negative about it. I think they're being just like, they don't want to get overjoyed. I think this is only a good thing. NVIDIA is joining the Linux Foundation, which tells me Linux and NVIDIA hardware is only going to get more compatible, more seamless integration, more times than not when you download a Linux distro in about a year, because it will take about a year for all this to actually get integrated.
Well, that's cool. It
work.
sounds great, but what does that mean that that NVIDIA is joining Linux Foundation? Is that like, me joining, I don't know, like my Qdoba food club where I get like an extra burrito if I buy 5 in a row?
Don't you mean Chipotle?
I don't wish I had one closer to me.
See, I'm the same way.
I have to go to Qdoba.
Well, what it means is they had to pay money to join.
Okay.
So, and it depends on what kind it is. If it's the high end joining plan, which there's not many of them, people might be 6 or 8 people. I want to say that's like a $30,000 plus investment.
Okay.
What it means is, the Linux Foundation's goal is to basically propagate the message of Linux, make it more popular, make it more stable, and just make sure people are doing the right thing when it comes to Linux.
Oh God. I'm just on the website trying to read an article and all these freaking ads are popping up.
Yeah. I got ad block.
All right, sorry.
On this site, Veronix does that. They have ads everywhere. They're the little pop-up ads. You put your mouse on top of it.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
What I hope it means is they are going to actually share some of their code with the Linux kernel. That's what typically happens when hardware people get involved with the Linux Foundation.
I see. Well, that's cool. And that is very cool.
Yeah, because there is an open source driver, I'm saying driver loosely, for Linux called Nuvo, I want to say. And it's gotten quite competitive. I mean, quite competitive to running a NVIDIA card quite competently.
Huh.
And what some people are saying is this is them just like covering their butts, putting their name in here, putting their money in here to try to make Linux support them. I don't know. I just read it and just scratched my head. Okay. If they're giving money to Linux, I feel better about it, period.
Yeah. I think it's great.
Yeah. Okay, the next thing, a quick jump on a game, and then there was one more later. This is a link over at ubuntuvibes.com, and it's a look at 3D native client games coming to Linux this year. Not a single screenshot, Steve. And why is Eddie Murphy on that page?
I don't know.
But they definitely make it look like Ubisoft is behind this, but they can't be behind all of them. And they might be behind that very top one, Air Mech. But basically there's like 10 games or so. And they're basically all quote unquote 3D games. What I think they just mean by that is Super Mario Brothers was 2D side scrolling. Super